And a former hotel security guard's on the stand in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial. Eddie Garcia worked at the Los Angeles hotel where Combs was caught on camera attacking then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2016. He testified that Combs offered to pay for that security footage, with Diddy saying it could, quote, ruin him. Garcia also testified Combs called him my angel after Garcia told Combs he and his supervisor at the hotel offered to sell the video for a final total of $100,000. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and his defense team says any sexual encounters were consensual. ABC's Rena Roy and legal contributor Bernardo Villalona are outside that courthouse with more. Rena, let's start things off with just the latest here on Eddie Garcia's testimony.
Yeah, Diane, well, this testimony has really just been riveting. Eddie Garcia, as he pointed out, works security at the InterContinental Hotel, and he says when he showed up for his shift that day, he was informed about the incident and he was shown the video. A short time later, he testified that Combs' former assistant, Christina Coram, called and showed up asking multiple times to see that video, to see what they were working with, essentially. And when Garcia told her that he couldn't do it, he said he did tell her off the record, it's bad. Later that evening, he said he got a call on his personal cell phone that he spoke to a very nervous Combs who was stuttering, who was talking fast, and telling him that he had been drinking during the time of the incident. He said Garcia seemed like a good guy that was willing to help him, that this video could ruin him and ruin his career. He promised to take care of Garcia, offering him money. Garcia says he then drove the footage on a USB drive over to a building about 20 minutes from the hotel, where Combs was happy and smiling, and as you said, calling him his angel. He said he also spoke to Cassie Ventura on FaceTime, who was instructed apparently by Combs to also tell Garcia that she wanted that video to go away too. Garcia said Combs himself handed him $100,000 in cash, and that later he also noticed that there was no video file or incident report in the hotel records. Diane.
Bernardo, what do you think this testimony means for this case?
So Eddie, his testimony is very important for the case because when we're dealing with the racketeering conspiracy, his testimony has been able to prove that, number one, having to deal with the criminal enterprise, being that his security guard, as well as Christina Coram, who was the chief of staff for Sean Combs, was involved in trying to arrange this deal and contacting security to try to get this footage, and that all three of them were present when this negotiation took place of the turning over of the $100,000 to this security guard. So this is detrimental to the defense. The prosecution is going again with the criminal enterprise, but also dealing with obstruction of justice, which is one of the key elements, also one of the predicate acts under the racketeering conspiracy.
Bernardo, Garcia also mentioned a woman named Christina Coram during his testimony. Any significance there? Do you expect her to testify?
So absolutely. So Christina Coram was the chief of staff for Sean Combs, and we've heard her name come up multiple times throughout this trial as being the go-to person for Sean Combs, the personal handler for Sean Combs, and now from today doing the dirty work of also Sean Combs. So in terms of whether she's going to testify, that's the million-dollar question, because if she were to testify, she knows all the dirt having to deal with Sean Combs, and that would technically seal his fate. I don't think there's anywhere around it if Ms. Coram were to testify, because we also did hear from her in the sense of doing an and discussion out of the presence of the jury that her phone was searched. A search warrant was done on her phone, and many text messages that have been used in this trial came from her particular phone.
Rena, what are you watching for next?
So after Eddie Garcia finishes testifying, we're expected to hear from Brianna Bongalong. She was an upcoming designer who was in the inner circle of Combs and Ventura, and she was also a friend of Cassie Ventura's, who has accused Combs of dangling her off the balcony of Cassie Ventura's apartment from the 17th floor in Los Angeles. Now, she filed a civil lawsuit against Combs, and she alleges that Combs was yelling, "Do you know what you did?" And she said that no, she didn't know what she did. She didn't really know why Combs was was so upset with her. He says that he also slammed her into the patio furniture during that incident, into a table. Combs has denied those allegations. We're also expecting to hear from Bongalong, who might corroborate Cassie Ventura's testimony about the violence she alleges to have experienced.
All right, Rena, Roy, Bernardo Villolona, thank you both.